lemon sauce, lemon sauce on these haters, 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 lemon sauce.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy DJ Zero Wolf. I'm here with
Rafa the Rasta.
We're also here with
TWDW.
So welcome to episode 3 of Teamwork Makes the Dream Work. We have our first special guest. We teased him early on, like from the beginning, so we're excited to be here to do this actual third episode. So I'm super excited. We're gonna make this all about him. You know, we already did our intros, so we're super excited to now, debut and talk about new DJs who deserve the spotlight, guys who have been working hard, like Brad, and so here we are. So how are you, man? First off, before we get started, how are you feeling? And what's running through your mind?
I'm great, man. Just doing a lot of producing right now. I was on tour for a while. I was doing a lot of club DJing, but now I'm really committing to the studio and putting some solid music out there for you guys.
Yeah, agreed. And you and I were talking off camera too, just like we were saying, putting stuff out to labels and just getting it done now,
Man. It's crucial because there's so much music out there now versus like when EDM started, there was just so many songs and you could find the best of the best thing. But now, not even just EDM, music period. There's songs uploaded to Spotify by the thousands.
Yeah.
It's insane. So you really just have to commit to putting your art out there. But at the same time, don't force it, make what you want to make and make it quality, and if you don't have the quality you want, then you got to be honest with yourself. Right. You got to find your faults and you got to fix them. And even if it takes time, it's not going to happen overnight. Most DJs DJ for 10 years before they get into any festival. And as long as you commit to your brand, commit to your art, and stay true to yourself and always have fun doing it, then you'll get there.
Sorry, amazing.
No,
words.
Agreed. Yeah.
Amazing words. Well, let's start, brother. First, because everybody wants to know, how did you get your name Double O?
Well, how many turntables are there?
2. You can hold the mic if you want.
You can hold it. Yeah.
What do the turntables look like?
O's.
Where are we?
Orlando.
And I'm Orlando's own.
So that's
enough said, right?
That's where the Double O.
Yep.
Orlando's own.
Double O stands for Orlando's own because I've always been here in Orlando. I've done a lot of traveling, but I've always wanted to bring the vibe of Orlando everywhere I went. And growing up here, I didn't even understand how many different cultures and people that I had around me until I got older. I just thought that was normal. And there aren't many places like Orlando where you can meet so many different people that enjoy the same thing. And, when you DJ, you got to really pick certain records that are going to appeal to enough people in the room. And when you're in a place like this, unless you're at a like specific club or something like that has a certain vibe, I started doing house parties.
Okay.
So there was so many different types of people, so I had to play a lot of different music, and I think that just kind of transcended into my brand, and I think bringing that to my name, bringing that to my DJing style, and just keeping that the way I produce, the way I DJ, and the way I travel, it's fun. Not limiting myself to one thing, because I know over time certain things switch, change, or you might not like them anymore. But, when you're open-ended like a top 40 DJ is, or like just anybody that does multiple genres of music, you got to really have a grip on what you're going to play. Because there's so many records, like I said. Mm-hmm. So playing what you like within the realm of what people like is always going to be the battle.
Got it.
So if you decide I'm going to play what the people want, eventually you're going to get tired of it and it's going to wear on you. But if you play what you like all the time, then they're going to kind of get frustrated unless you pick the records that really fit the room.
Got it.
So being able to do that isn't going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since 2008.
Yeah, we're gonna
And-
ask you that. Like, how long have you been doing this for?
Yeah, for a long time, since I was 18, and I'm turning 35 this year. So you guys can do the math.
Oh boy, yeah, we're getting old.
I mean, regardless of getting old, man, I think the industry is getting to a point where you got rappers in their 50s that are still performing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So beyond that, you got people like Jelly Roll who just hit, and he's like, what, in his mid 30s, almost 40.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody should set a bar on, it's too late, I'm too old. Like, if you love this, do it.
Great words. I have to applaud that honestly because it's true. Don't limit yourself.
No, you should never limit yourself, because the minute you do, the minute you stop. And when you stop once, it's not going to be in your pattern. It's not going to be in your rhythm to keep going and keep doing the thing that you did at a certain level at a certain point. And once you lose that, will to keep going, it's just going to take so much away from your artistic greatness, because you're not going to have that same drive to do what you once wanted to do at 100 miles an hour before.
Mhm.
And even if you lose that drive, you should still take a step back, look at what you need to do, take a deep breath, figure it out, and then move forward.
I love it, man.
Because every day is another day that you could be doing what you want to do, instead of just thinking about, oh man, I fucked up. Pardon my French.
Oh no,
but-
you're
you're
cursing.
good. No, you're good.
But
This
Oh,
is
man,
on the
like,
radio.
Yeah.
I messed up, like, I took too long to do this, or I messed up with this club, or whatever the situation is, it's never too late, because you can always move. You can always find another market that really likes what you have going on.
I love it.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna say, and so like for you, what is the thing that allows you to keep like pushing forward? Like you were saying, what is the thing that you always go back to whenever you get caught in those moments when you're like, damn, like, can I keep doing it? Or when you hit that limit, what is it for you?
when I hit that limit, a lot of times it's because I've got so much going on. And one thing my dad has always said, where there's chaos, there's profit. And that's so true, because when you're at the height, you're going to be making a lot of money. You're going to be here, there, all over the place. But you got to realize it's not only for the money. So you got to put a lot of value in your brand and a lot of value in yourself to decide what you want to do, and not just being a yes man to everything. Because once you become a yes man to everything, it's fun.
Yep.
And you get to do a lot of things. You get to see a lot of things. You get to go a lot of places, but then you wear out. And once you wear out, it's time to really assess. And you got to take a hard look in the mirror. Like, am I DJing as good as I did before? Am I doing too much? Am I am I not producing like I once was? Because people, just as much as they want to see you DJ, they want to see you make music.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were talking about that off
Yeah.
camera too. It's not an easy thing, especially once you get some motion going, because then people expect it all the more. So it's almost better to, like we said before, to take a step back, work on a bunch of music, and don't even DJ for a little while. And then once you have all that music ready, then you could send it out like anywhere you want and just start cranking it. And once you start cranking it, then people are going to be attentive to you again.
Yes.
It's all about how consistent you are.
Mhm. No, agreed. And like you were saying earlier, like you were showing me your stuff like on the computer, like there's a huge thing in organization, one, and then two, like you were saying, just putting stuff out, because like having a body of work, like we were saying, for example, like even with YouTube, even in any type of content creation, you can have like the big formats, but once you have the work done, then you can go back and refine and rework and redo until it hits. Like we were saying, like a lot of you can put out the same drop. Even a lot of big artists do that. They have you have the big record, and they usually have like the other record that sounds similar to it, that you're like, hey, that sounds like that one, but and that's what that could have been the original idea, and it became this, or vice versa, but it's always good to have like we were saying, this, to always put stuff out there, because eventually one will hit. And then because of that one, you're going to have already all this other stuff there that it's now just not, I hate the word content, but it's more music, it's more engagement, it's more art for
art.
yeah, it's more exactly. It's more stuff for people to listen to because now it's like because I always hate it's like when you find a good show and then you watch it and then you're like, oh, there's only one season or there's only like a couple episodes, yeah, and you're like, what?
A lot of shows,
So it's the same, but then when they become fans, you're like, when I find a new YouTuber, for example, like I always get on, I'm like, what more? And if they have tons of videos, I'm like, that's all I'm gonna be watching now until I'm sick of it. You know what I mean? And then even then, once you're caught up, now you're caught up and you're ready for the new stuff. So it's always like, it's always a good avenue.
Besides being a DJ, though, we know that you've been producing tracks.
Oh, like crazy.
How long have you been doing that, and how is it going for you so far, man?
Well, like producing on a decent level, I'd say probably for the last 5 years. But I've been recording and messing around with stuff on the computer since I was 13, like with like Audacity and sound recorder, like whatever I could. I just always liked music. I wanted to be a drummer initially, but when I started DJing, it just did it for me. And it was just something that I just decided I wanted to do forever. Like I just didn't want to give up on it because it gives me so much energy to know that what I'm doing is making other people happy. And I think that's like the biggest part of all this is like making sure that like we're doing something for somebody. We're not like getting too caught up in like I'm the best DJ or I'm the best producer, whatever. They'll decide that.
Yeah.
And once they decide that, even if that's so, still stay true to the people that put you up on that throne.
Yeah.
Because without them, there would be no us.
Yeah, I mean, we've been knowing you for what, 13, 14 years now?
Yeah.
And out of all the sets that you've played, they've all been amazing, and everybody always feels moved. They actually enjoy it. You could see it because a lot of times I've been right there next to you,
right,
just to get that experience, and you could see how people love not only your flow, your choice of music, but you could also read the crowd, which is really important with a lot of DJs.
Yeah.
That they don't know how to read the crowd. And with you, I've seen that throughout the years, man. You know when it's the right time to drop a certain song or change the tempo. And to me, that's amazing, man.
I mean, every environment, if you really want to get into like the technical mind of DJing, has its own like flow of like when to keep it chill and then when to bring it up and then when to drop it down. Like certain clubs are going to want you to just go up, 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 up. So if you're opening, you're not going to play closing music. And that's kind of a well-known thing. But like a lot of DJs will just do that because they have their time and they decide that, oh, this is my time to shine. And then you're blacklisted after that. So it's not really worth it. Like I remember when Roxy was open, I DJ'd for 6 months before I could even touch the main stage.
Yeah, I remember.
And that was opening for the main stage, not even headlining, nothing like that. But when you put that work in and you decide, okay, let me humble myself, whether I think I'm better or not, let me just do this because then I build this relationship with this person. Then they know I'm like worthy of actually showing up on time, doing what I'm supposed to do, not getting wasted and, messing with the equipment or do anything stupid. And after you build that relationship, you're going to get to a point where other people are going to see that. Then your name, your brand, and everything's going to be much worth a lot more than that just one little 15 minutes of fame you had.
No, and I remember that because when it came to Roxy, I remember seeing you in the front room.
I love that front room.
That front room was amazing. And we talked about this yesterday. We don't know yet, and we'll throw in some pictures of it. I believe that the first event that you actually played was the outside of the station, and you were actually the first DJ that I actually booked. Out of everybody that I knew, I loved your style and where you were playing, and not only that, who you are. And like you're saying, it started at the little patio area at the station by UCF, and after that, you started getting bigger and bigger events.
I'm like, honestly, this is one thing I want DJs to understand. The higher you climb, yes, it feels great, but it's so intense. And like, there's a lot of things with big festivals where you have to have your like set synced and you have no choice. Like, you really have no choice about that. And that's what sucks. So these gigs, when you're starting and they allow you to do what you want, like, really take that in, because you won't have that unless you have such a unique style and way of doing whatever you do, that you have your own videographers that are like totally in sync with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you got to put that on contract, and you got to have the money to go up against people like EDC. So good luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are just harsh facts of the industry. So enjoy what you do, but realize there's a lot of difficult things to get to the top or to even achieve what we see. Like we were talking about, like with James Hype and things like that. But once again, consistency. And in the EDM world, I don't really see anybody else doing as much content as somebody like James Hype. So regardless of how anybody feels about him, he's doing the due diligence.
Yep.
And that's really what it takes. Making the music, doing the content, recording it. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's not simple and it wears on you, but eventually you build it up to a certain point where people are going to be like, hey, I like what you're doing. You know, let me take pictures for you, or let me do video for you. And then you build your team.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, it's like the shirts, it's like we're gonna give you the shirt now. So this is actually a good moment to bring it in. So
It's the first, we said in the first episode that every guest DJ that we bring in, we're going to do a custom shirt for them.
yeah, so everyone gets a custom shirt. So this is Brad's new shirt. So double O, and this is the back. Look at that. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Show them that front, brother.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man.
lit. Double O. There we go.
I love it.
So, but like you were saying, like it's a team thing, because at the end of the day, like it's finding like-minded people. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, like with James Hype, we were saying off camera, like he has a guy, a videographer who wants to do video. He has a photographer who wants to do photography. He has a manager who's into business because that's what he wants his career to be. It's not a DJ doing
All these
everything, or it's not, you know,
don't let the camera fool you.
yeah, like and sometimes, and someone said it best, like just because you can wear multiple hats doesn't mean like that you should,
No.
you know, but to like to get to the point like I was trying to make, which was like, you know, doing this, and like you were saying, doing these things and having that consistency shows people like, hey, like I really want to do this. And like you said, then people will come around who are like, hey, I actually do video, or at least I do take pictures. Can we? And then it becomes like a collective, and it's no longer just like you or just me or just him, and now it's like we're a whole unit together.
Basically.
Like we're yeah, you know what I mean? It's and like Rafa said at the first episode, like we're trying to, like all three of us are trying to make this huge thing like a movement, because at the end of the day, like, you know, there's no companies like there were back then, you know. And I want your take on that too. You know, back then we had, you know, HTG, you know, Jeff Kenny, we had Matt Denuzzo over at Evolve, we had Jason and Kevin at Smile for Camera, and then even then you had like other people, you had like Ride or Die, you had other people doing their own things too.
Ariel and Irene with Dub Factory, you know, you had Alex Wood and
with Alliance Events, and doing Ignition. You know, there's tons of people doing stuff, but now, you know, there's still a couple companies out there, but it's not as, you know, as big as it once was. And then two, that not that I don't see people being cool, but I just don't see the coordination. Like you said, like in the past, you didn't see EDM Orlando working with so-and-so, or you didn't see other people working with other people, not because for whatever, it was just always a business thing. And like, for me, it's like, to look at it one way, like I play a lot of gaming, right? I play a lot of GTA Online. For me, it's like, why are we too busy, like, you know, doing PvP when we could be doing heists and making tons of money together? You know, because at the end of the day, like, if we just all put into it, we're gonna make even more money. So why are we busy fighting over scraps when we could like do it all and get even more? You know what I mean? And bigger, because we actually care. You know, like, I don't know if I'm gonna get flamed for this later, you know, but on a lot of, you know, on a lot of Insomniac, you know, lineups in Orlando, you know, they sometimes have locals, but a lot of the times their opener DJs are already preset. You know what I mean? They're already, and kind of going back to like you were saying with festivals, contracts. So when you dealt with those festival type things, how did you deal with that, or what was that to learn? Like, if you can walk us through that.
Well, like when I went to Brazil, it wasn't like a cakewalk. Like we were talking about off camera, I had to build a rapport with the DJ that was running the festival, and then I had to bring that back to my label. Then my label had to negotiate terms with them, and then eventually, once they came to an agreement, then you go from there. But it's not always easy coming to an agreement because everybody wants what they want. And like you being the DJ, if you're just starting, you have no idea what you want from a festival. You don't even know what comes with a festival yet. So you have to just kind of like go with it until you have somebody that educates you on where this is, what this does, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to have a real strong idea of what you want so that you don't end up somewhere you don't want to be. And that's, as simple and as plain as I could put it, because everybody's going to have different wants, different desires, like writers are crazy.
Yeah.
I was watching something and they were talking about how certain artists, I don't even think this was in the EDM realm. I think this was like back in like, I don't know, like the 60s or the 70s, how like the rock stars would ask for certain things that they wouldn't even use just to see if the festivals would do it or not.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not condoning that by any means, but it's just to show you guys the depth of how far this can really go.
Yeah.
So, if you're not putting people at that deposition where they're like stressing trying to get something because you ordered something an hour before and you want it right there as soon as you land or something, then you should be all right.
Yeah.
Just don't be too agreeable either. Because like I said, you'll end up somewhere you really don't want to be, not getting paid, and then you'll get screwed over and you're in a foreign country, and if you don't know where you're going and if you don't know how that country operates and if you don't have a contact, best of luck to you.
Talking about foreign countries and all that, we're going to get into that a little bit later, but we heard that you've actually toured in different countries.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. Yeah, so if you can give us some of your experience, because like I have a little bit as well, but like you said, like there are moments like that where you're like, when you're stuck out there, so walk us through that.
Well, I've been to Brazil, I've been to Thailand, like we said, I've been to Australia, and I've been to the Philippines. And what I will say out of all of it is, every place has its own feeling and its own vibe. And once you kind of get an understanding of what that is, then you can run with that. If you have an idea of what you're trying to do before you get there, just let go of any and everything that you thought you were going to do, because you could get hired to do something and they tell you like, oh, you're going to do XYZ, but then you get to the club and then there's something completely different that they're requesting. Mm-hmm. So just be ready for anything and everything, but then there's other times where things go great. Like in the Philippines, that was, oh my God, they love music there. And being in places like that, they treat you like a celebrity, bro. Like I was standing outside the club the night before I was supposed to play, going in with like a group of friends, and they had to like yank me inside because they had, this vinyl poster on both sides.
There's pictures of that. We're going to post them.
And like me not even paying attention, I was standing next to it, and the girl goes, DJ! And this flock of people just start coming to me, and they had to yank me inside and run me into the VIP. And I'm just like, what is going on? I've never felt like this ever in my life. And that's just because they love music that much.
Especially in another country too.
They really value it over there. So it's like, don't be afraid to go to, places that aren't just the US Europe and bigger places. You know, you can find so many different people that'll buy into your brand, and you could have 5,000 followers from another country.
Yeah.
You know, just because you DJ'd there once. You know what I mean? Like, it takes not being afraid to step out of your comfort zone is truly what it is. And you're gonna hit the bumps in the road, but the more bumps in the road that you hit, you're gonna know not to hit them the next time around. And if you don't do that, you're not gonna get anywhere. You know, you can stay in your studio and you can stay just producing and sending out and hoping, or you can get out there and network, and then network online as well. And to what you said before about, you know, the way that there was a lot more groups back then, I think COVID changed a lot of things.
Oh yes.
And now people aren't clubbing like our age group was clubbing.
Yeah.
So I think that's really adjusted how people are going downtown. And another thing is music has changed quite a bit.
A lot.
Like, I'm not downing anything, but techno's a hard pass to really hot girls that don't understand the EDM realm. House is very easygoing. Anybody can just vibe to it and jump in, you know? And there's a setting for every place and everything. So, like I said before, learning the environment, and like, if you can get to a venue a day before and kind of understand what happens there, so you can like get your set according, so that you learn you know, the environment. Because if you don't do that, you're shooting in the dark if what you prepared is going to work or not. And that makes it really, really hard. And I've done that maybe a handful of times, and I've regretted it every single time. When I go to the club and learn it and see what's going on, it makes it so much simpler. And once people see that you already know what's happening, they think you're a way better DJ just by doing one simple thing.
Yep.
Yeah. No, agreed. Totally. I was going to ask you. So, like, when you do go out and when you do play, you know, what are some of those tips that you would give like younger DJs who are coming up, like, to what to look out for? Because like at the end of the day, I always say like make music, right? That's the number one. Because one thing, like, and I've said it before, like you can be a DJ, awesome, but like another thing is making music too, because that's how you stand out, you know, at the end of the day. But like, what would be some of your tips? Because like you said, that's a huge one, just going and listening before. You know, because like, yeah, or even sometimes I've even messaged DJs, like if I know I'm gonna play before or after somebody, I'll usually like DM somebody and be like, hey, yo, like, and they usually tell me like, hey, you don't gotta do that, but I'm like, no, like I know, but it's like I still want to know, because like then I can kind of prepare what I'm gonna do, so then it's not just like I show up and just whatever, you know, like you can, and then it's nice. I know you have that skill. You know, it's nice to be able to do a whatever, but at the same time, it's nice when you can like plan it out, right? So, but what are other tips that you would have, you know?
Other tips would be to, like you said, get in contact with the DJs at the venue, really be in contact with the owner, you know, because if you're just talking to a promoter might just want what they want. And that might not go in line with what the owner's looking for, because that promoter is just looking for the 15 minutes. I've seen a lot of promoters come and go because of doing that. And it's not, it's really hard to get back in the game if you're doing that. So communication is key. Like, talk to the other DJs, talk to the owner, talk to the promoter. And if there's a riff in any one of those things, let it be known, like, hey, so and so, don't snitch, but just say, hey, this is not what I heard from everybody else, so I just want to make sure we're on the same page. You know, and once you guys are all on the same page, then you know you're safe to move forward. And this is like, this doesn't even have to be on a big scale. You know, this could just be a small 100 cap bar or something like that. You know, the more serious you take whatever you do, the more people that are going to show up and be at the place that you're at. Because however good you are is going to show and prove from the people coming and going. Like, there's people that have played on huge stages that aren't that good, and it shows. Like, it really shows. And then you don't see them after that. So, you know, learning to deal with the anxiety of whatever you got to do, it just goes away when you're prepared. And if you're not prepared, then you're going to be scrambling. Serato face. And I've done it. You know, I've been there. It's
all the time.
It's scary, bro. But like, once you know what's going on, then you have all your folders, and you know whether you're playing on Record Box, Serato, whatever it is, you have everything ready to go, and it just makes it that much simpler. And that's what we want, is to go through everything simply. We're not trying to stress out while we're playing what we're playing, even though it can happen for a lot of reasons too. But you know, aside from that, just know what you're doing. And what I mean by that is, like, am I a house DJ? Am I an open format DJ? Am I a top 40 DJ? Like, define yourself, you know, and that can change over the years. But like with the individual venues, define what you're doing so that they know where to place you. Because when you do what I do, a little bit of everything, it's really hard because people just look at your resume and they're like, so what do you want to do? I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And when you wager that with them, it opens up a whole new realm of opportunities. But that's if you're willing to put in the amount of work that I've been doing for however many years, like we said before. But once you just find what you want to do and you become really good at that, stick with that until that wave's dead, then go with the next thing. I've done Melbourne Bounce, I've done G House, I've done a bunch of different types of bass music, Moombahton for a little bit, like, and not everything hits, you know, but enjoy doing it because you like it, not because it's necessarily just what's going on. You know, you can make and do what's going on for the sake of getting attention, but people will see right through that. Skrillex, like you said, is Skrillex because he's got that tick for the ear to just know exactly that thing you were talking about with the kick and Afrojack. Like,
But not only that, now that you mentioned Skrillex, think about it. When he started, he changed obviously the dubstep game
completely.
You know, like he completely changed it, and now you've seen that he's transitioned.
Oh, he's done so much.
But it went from like him just doing the dubstep to then, you know what, I mastered this. Let me now try this and also try to master that.
Right.
And that's same with you. You've mastered pretty much every genre that you know that you're good at, that you want to learn as well too.
Right.
A lot of you young DJs or even older DJs, just do that. Focus on one thing at a time. You know, it's going to take time. Don't rush it, because once you start rushing it, you're not going to get gigs. That's when people are actually going to start judging you. People are not going to come see you. And you just need to take it one step at a time.
Like with producing, I know every producer has the anxiety to get it done to want to show somebody. But if you just take the time to really look at, okay, this part could use more bass, or this, whatever it is, really assess it, you know, and be honest with yourself. If something doesn't sound right, fix it.
Yeah.
Like, don't oversee it just to get it done, you know, because when you play it out in the club, everybody's going to hear it.
Yeah.
And when everybody hears it, and you just said, this is my brand new track, guys, that feeling sucks.
Well, that's an example. In the
That
last
feeling
episode,
sucks.
I had said that we talked about there's a lot of real DJs out there, producers that are making amazing tracks. And I said it. You have a lot of tracks that you actually haven't released.
Yeah.
And
5 years worth.
Yeah, and you'll message me
year's
here
gonna be
and there,
crazy.
Rafa, can you hear this out? You know, and let me know what you think. I'll give you my opinions and whatnot. And there's tracks that you've released, tracks that you haven't released because you want it to be not perfect, but good when you're going to play it live.
And I wanted to put it where it needed to deserve to be, you know, like not having this podcast, I didn't really have a place to play it or a place to feed it where it would matter. Like we talked about, there wasn't as many groups of things anymore. And like, even with it, you know, I don't think people are clubbing, especially downtown, as much, because there's been so many different things that have happened where they're getting rid of clubs and where there's the shootings and all this crazy stuff. So now Orlando's changing.
Yeah.
You know, clubs are popping up on iDrive, and like, you know, I think I forgot who just got booked over there, but a really big house act. I can't remember their names, but everything's shifted. So because everything's shifted, you got to adjust yourself to the way everything's moving. So whether you're doing what we're doing with content or whether you're DJing at different places or whatever it is, you can't stay stagnant.
Yeah.
You know, staying stagnant is going to just be the worst thing for you. But if you need to decompress and take a few months to really get yourself together, do it. Because mental health is very important, and this
Very
industry will kick your ass.
Oh yes.
Like,
Oh yes.
take the time to really, all right, I'm going too fast. My anxiety's on a million. I need to just get it together, put a couple projects together, send them out. If they hit, then I'm going to start doing XYZ. If not, then I'm going to go back to the studio and cycle repeat.
Got it.
I don't think it's that much harder, you know? Like, you really just got to decide this is it, you know? Don't go play video games. Don't go, you know, do whatever else. Like, just really focus on what you want to do. And once you get to a point where you're confident with it, stop. Like we were talking about Skrillex before, stop. Take a break, go do something else, then come back with fresh ears, listen again, and then you'll truly know if it's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And then once you get it there, then start moving it around.
No, agreed.
No, like,
I was saying no, yeah, agreed. No, it's like you were saying, like we were saying about earlier with Skrillex, like just make ideas, throw them out the wall because you never know what's gonna hit. And like you said, like the more diverse you are, the more you can use that as a tool.
The more fun it is.
Yeah, the more exactly. At the end of the day, it's more fun. Like I've said before, like I don't just want to stand there and like if I hear somebody make a mistake and then correct it, you know, and then do something cool, I'm like I respect that more than just somebody playing a record, you know. And sometimes playing the record is just enough, and like you said, it's reading the room, it's having the knowledge. And the only way you can learn it is by doing it, you know what I mean? You can't really learn that, like you said, in your bedroom making music. The way you learn is by messing up in front of people and being like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore, or this works, that doesn't work. Like maybe mixing reggae into 50s music doesn't really work, you know what I mean? Like just ridiculous stuff, you know. But
no, playing and to that topic as well too, knowing how to read the room. I haven't told you this, and by the way, Brad has DJed in different places, so I'm definitely gonna say it. I don't care. Brad has actually DJed in strip clubs, which I love strip clubs, but it's not only a unique experience with something different. My little brother, kid, shout out to you, brother. I love you.
Shout out.
He got the opportunity to come out to see you play at a strip club. Yeah. And when he came to the house, he goes, Brad taught me something new today. How to read the room. How to read the environment and knowing what to play. Yeah. Because you can't just play whichever song and it's just going to die down.
It's a numbers game at the end of the day. You know, and especially in a strip club, you got to see, you know, are there a lot of Spanish people in the room? And even if there's a lot of Spanish people in the room, what type of Spanish people in the room? Because if there's a lot of Dominicans, I'm playing dembow. If there's a lot of Puerto Ricans, I'm playing reggaeton. It's that simple. And it's understanding your environment. You know, you got to literally read the room. And if you don't look into multiple cultures and multiple types of people, then why do you want to even be a DJ? Like, seriously. Yep. Because that's the whole point, is being able to understand what's going to work for everybody, not just what's going to work for me. If you get to that point with whatever just works for you, then you're amazing. Great. Shout out to you. But the thing is, you got to humble yourself. And if you can't humble yourself and just decide, okay, I want to DJ, I want to keep DJing. And the thing with the strip club, they're dangerous, bro. Like,
yeah, I believe it.
I've got some crazy stories that I'll tell another time, but one key thing that I would always do in the strip club is, in the last 30 minutes, I would bring the energy down. So when everybody's leaving, they're already chilled out. So they're not like hype and in the parking lot going crazy, getting too drunk. Like, you got to control that. Because if you don't, there's some bad situations that can happen. And the same thing in certain nightclubs too.
Oh, yes.
You know, it's not just a strip club. And it's all in communication too, because if the owner recognizes you're doing that and they get upset, then you have to do what you have to do. But if they realize why you're doing what you're doing and you tell them that, they're going to probably have a lot more respect for you
Correct.
because you're valuing their place of business, not just thinking about playing whatever music for that
getting
moment.
paid and whatever you
You
do
know?
with the rest.
Well, if I can make a comment too, it's like you were saying earlier, like when you were saying, like when you were opening at Roxy, you know, at the end of the day, it's learning control. Like, and like you were saying, like I read a lot. I'm on the internet all the time, so you know I know everything, right? but fucking
If you guys have any questions,
right?
don't
Yeah,
go to
questions?
Google.
Yeah, come to me. I read everything. I'm chronically online. No, but the thing that I read a lot that they say online is like, you know, play whatever. I see a lot of DJs say that. They're like, if you get a chance to play, you know, at XYZ place, just go off, do whatever you want. And you know, and even a lot of venues nowadays, and like some people say, like when you DJ here with us, just go, I've even said it myself, like just go off, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like there's a decorum to opening, you know what I mean? And because it's a skill that a lot of older DJs I've seen talk about it, that they've seen it die out because it's such a skill. It's not just playing the top 10 tracks. It's learning, like you said, how to control and read a crowd, because once you know how to control the crowd, you know, like you said, you know what you can make a regular cool night into like a really epic night because you're that privy to what's going on. Like you said, like you said, they could be Puerto Ricans or Dominicans in the room, and just knowing the difference. And because anyone, I'll just play Spanish music. Like me, I would default and play salsa and merengue because you know. But then even then, like that's knowing, okay, they're both gonna like it. So that's knowing that subset of music. But at the end of the day, it's knowing and being able to control that little bit of time, you know.
And like not just having like only classics, because you'll run out, you know. If you're able to play some of the new stuff, then they're going to look at you like, wow, you really know what's going on. And it doesn't take much, especially if it's not a genre that you play much. Spotify has playlists now. So all you got to do is listen through, find the ones you like, play them.
It's always shocked everybody that you actually love Spanish music.
I really do.
And that's another key thing. Once again, diversify. You know,
I mean,
go look at playlists.
That's how I started, honestly, was playing a lot of Spanish house parties, you know. So doing that mixed with hip hop was really the core of the beginning of me DJing. And then EDM came, you know, a few years later. But like still being able to bring both of those worlds together, it's so interesting because like sometimes I'll play like just edits of hip hop stuff at EDM events, and they go, "Oh no!" And then vice versa. Like at the strip club, it was weird. Like if I played house for some people, they hated it, but then at other strip clubs, they loved it.
Yeah.
So it was just like it was just the most interesting thing. But if you don't have that diversity of understanding all these different little pieces of things, just a little bit, then you're going to be stuck. You know, and you're only going to be limited to that one place that does that one thing. And then when they move on, or when they sell to somebody else, or when the owners change, or when the manager switches and then another night comes in, what are you going to do now? You got to keep moving, you know.
And even not so, let's not go so much with the clubs. For example, you did actually a set in our first episode. And your set showed everything, and to me that's amazing. But it just it proves that, hey, you also have to learn how to play everything. You also have to diversify, have an ear for music itself. And to me, I find that as amazing talent. Same with you. That first set, you know, like you ended up playing everything, then played Bad Bunny, which I was like, oh my god, but it just shows you're reading the crowd, even though we didn't have a crowd, but we knew what people were going to watch.
But see, that's the thing. We do have a crowd. And that's a whole other dynamic to why I played certain records. Because, you know, I know my age group. I know who's going to be watching me specifically. So they're going to want to hear those throwback records because those records aren't being played anymore.
Yeah.
So now we have a place and a platform for that. It doesn't only have to be that, you know, and that's why I went in and out of a little bit of everything, so that, you know, people that aren't that age, that don't understand that, might gain some knowledge and some history of what happened before them. And that's really important, is learn your history, bro. Like, seriously, if you want to be a good DJ, learn where everything came from and see where it's going now.
Yes.
So you can see the direction of where things are headed, or at least have an idea of what's happening. Because you can get stuck in playing stuff that you like that might be 10 years old, 5 years old, even just a year old might be not right in the certain environment. You know, if you have a place like, I don't know, like Club Live or something like really big like that, you better know like what's going on now. If you're playing old stuff, it better be an edit that flips into something new, you know, because if not, then you're probably not going to play there again. And it's really not much more than being able to understand that part of it. And once you see who's where, then you can tend each track to each environment. And once you have like a house party playlist, and then a club playlist, and then, you know, maybe a house club playlist, and then a bass club playlist, and, you know, so on and so forth. And if you're not that diligent, especially on CDJs, even more so than playing on Serato, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because trying to find the right thing, you know, you're going to be going through folder. And then by the time you want to do the transition, you're out of music.
That is true.
And if you're not ready, then everybody's going to know it. And then good luck getting booked again.
Here goes your name.
You know what I'm saying? I'm low key guilty of that sometimes, and it shows, because like if you go back and watch some of my videos, you can tell which videos I was prepared and which ones I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's just, you know, and life happens, you know.
Absolutely.
But that only comes with skill.
Right.
You know, and that's what, like I said earlier, like I know you can do it and I can do it, and it's a skill, but it's not like you said, we don't rely on that all the time.
No, yeah.
That's like you said, reading a room, being able to listen to what the DJ before you was playing, who's playing after,
That's
what
really
where
important.
am I, like you said, what kind of club am I in? Is it an EDM night? Is it a house night? What you know, you have to pay attention to all of that. And then but like you said, that's what makes a great artist. That's what makes a great anything, because of those attention to detail.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you walk in the room, it's like, oh, okay, I know what's going on. It's like, a fun example for me is like when I started DJing at Mako's, sometimes the bartenders would make fun of me, not make fun of me, but they'd play around and be like, "Hi, you're playing a lot of like girly pop today," you know.
Right.
But in my mind, it was always like, well, if I can get girls in here and make girls dance, you know, guys are gonna come in and want to dance with girls and buy them drinks, so that's generating money. And yeah, like playing California Girls into Kylie Minogue, into Miley Cyrus, yeah, it gets boring after a while. You know, obviously I'll throw one or two out, you know, for the dudes, but it's like at the same time, it's like it's a business. You got to know what you're doing, you know, at the same time, and like you said, diversify, because like, you know, and that's where, you know, I interviewed with a club recently because I'm trying to get a night there, you know, and they asked me like, what's your thing? And I told them straight up, like, I want to do EDM. But like I told them, I'm like, I'm not trying to do it like the other clubs. I told them straight up, I was like, I know you guys talk to house DJs every day here in Orlando, but I told them I want to bring that weird shit over here, because like I told them, like, if you can have a base for that, people will come, because people are tired of listening to the same
thing.
You know, and don't get me wrong, I love a lot of the most popular dance music, but like we said in other episodes, like the cool stuff is not rarely ever heard, you know.
Takeover so great, you know, because in those times people didn't really understand EDM yet, so all of it was weird and new.
Yeah.
So now that we're at a point that a lot of people do understand EDM, we kind of need to come back to that. So coming back to that is going to be great, because then you're going to have all these people who genuinely want to be there and aren't just there for just hype, you know.
Yeah, like you said, it COVID changed everything.
Yeah, it did.
So if they start bringing back that feeling, you know, that motivation that it was back in the day, it can create amazing things again.
Bro, like one thing that has always inspired me with dance music in particular is how much of a family you have with the people that you work with.
Mhm.
If you're genuine and true and you're in this because you love it and you stick to it and you don't screw people over, like Rafa said before, we've known each other for many, 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 many years. So you're going to find times where there might be a lull in what's going on, but then you never know. You might get a call sometime later. Hey, I want to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Mhm.
And that's it. You know, if you're not an asshole,
It's true.
Yeah.
then you're going to do pretty well, you know? And if you listen to people, but don't listen to the person that was like, hey man, can you play this? Like,
Yeah.
pay attention to who you're listening to at the same time. You know,
Mhm.
don't just listen to whatever anybody says, because then you have no control over the environment. But to kind of go back to what you were talking about before, when I was in the strip club, I would always play what each dancer wanted to hear, because then they're happy. When they're happy, money's being spent.
Yes.
And it's a very simple process. You know, there's a business to all this at the end of the day. You know, as much as we want to be the all-star and play the great music, drinks need to be sold, people need to be coming in, and there has to be a reason for that. And if there's not a reason for that, then nobody's going to come. And the reason we showed up to take over was because of what we were saying before, because it was unique.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and if you don't mind me saying, like, just is like exactly, because like when you play those, like you said, there's a huge difference between playing for a crowd, like you were saying, like for the at a strip club, for the stripper, for, or even at a bar. You're there to make them money because the bar needs to hit a certain limit.
Yes.
And like you said, we went to take over because not because of the bar, not because of Roxy, not even just because of Kevin and Jason. We went because we knew the music that was going to be played was awesome. Like you said, you know, and it's what we wanted to kind of like nerd out and geek out to.
Right.
And it's kind of like, and I know you guys might feel the same, you know, when, for example, when I was in high school, I got bullied for listening to EDM. So going to Takeover was like, wow, like I can be around other people
Oh yeah.
that like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it low key feels like people invaded, you know, our space. Not, you know, it's a welcoming space, but at the same time, like you said, like it's things are new, things are different now. They're not, you know, and that's cool. But at the same time, like there needs to be like you know, I hate using the word like regulation, but like you said, like a come back to form, like a back to form, you know, to where
Yeah,
we
but that
were.
feeling, because social media also changed a lot. Because remember those takeover days, that was the spot also where you went to listen to the new tracks.
Right.
We didn't have Spotify. We had Pandora. That was it.
Well, let me ask you a bit of a loaded question here. So like, in the past, right? Like, in the last video, we did a clip of like when I was in the Ultra movie or whatever. My girlfriend and I have always said, you know, wow, people back then used to really dance. And you guys remember when phones used to be shitty, there was no point in taking a video right on your phone. And so, and now it's everything, right? So for you, having been, you know, in that and now being where you are, where do you, like Brad, see it going into the future? Because like a lot of bigger DJs have started to complain about it. You know what I mean? And some venues are even doing a no phones policy. You know, but for you, like what's your take on the technology and the focus on the selfie and on the video? Like what's your take on that whole thing? You know, because I know you, just like me, you do content creation as well.
Right.
You know, on Instagram and stuff
We're
too.
gonna share the link.
Yeah, we're gonna
all
share all the links in the description below, you know. But like for you, what's your take on technology and where in social media and how it's, you know, where do you see that kind of shifting towards?
I can joke and say we're gonna all be like Wally, but
Listen, man, I love Wally, and
but you
that's how
know,
it's
like it's gotten to a point where so many things are automated, but then at the same time, there's rebels in this whole cause that want, like what you said, that feeling again. So I think there's going to come a point where, you know, the no cell phone thing is be a thing. And then beyond that, like even if they battle that, it might be like no cell phones past midnight, you know, or they might just have more photographers again. And that'll open up more jobs for people that do that type of thing so that they can get it. But it's probably going to be expensive. But, you know, that's the price of being in that environment, being in that experience.
Take pictures, let us know.
Yes.
We take interns. We're not paying nobody right now.
Interns right now, yeah, guys, we're starting. So,
but you know what I mean? Like recreating the environment to make it the place that people want to be, not just because they want to show everybody, because it's exclusive.
Yep.
And once you get back to that exclusivity of, you know, you're in the club, dude, like, holy crap, like that was a thing when I was younger. Like you got in? Dang.
I remember that.
Like, like you had to dress right, you had to smell right, you had everything had to be on point. And if you didn't come with a girl, good luck.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
And it's not like that at all anymore. If you're paying and they pat you down, you get in. It's not like such a, like, oh man, like Disney World for adults, basically.
Yeah.
You know, but finding the way to balance out, you know, whether it's a no phones policy or only phones up into this time or whatever it is, they might even take it to the extent of like, they won't even like, I don't know what I'm trying to fully say here, but like when it comes to where the club's headed, where the festival's headed, there's a lot of big DJs complaining about this, that it's not an experience anymore. And, you know, everything has gotten to the point where like people just want to say that they were there.
Correct.
For the sake of, oh my God, I was there, da, 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 da.
And picture.
And if you're only there for that, then you're just going to circulate that. And that's all that's going to circulate online. So that creates a demand for it. So if you stop doing that, then something else is going to become cool. And that's not going to look cool anymore. And then that whole cycle has got to turn itself around. It always happens where things go all the way this way and then they shift back to like the natural way. And it's just how life goes. As my good friend always says, seasons and reasons. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
But it's true though. I mean, I think that's also what made TakeOver so unique and so big, because all these big events or festivals, if you think about it, every year it's the same shit over and over and over.
They've found their formula. And
Correct.
if their formula is working and they're making millions of dollars, why would they stop? Because once again, it's a business.
Of course.
You know, and people that just started raving this year, last year, like beyond COVID, aren't going to know any of those experiences that we had pre-COVID. So they just think that this is how it is.
Yep.
That's not their fault. You know what I mean? If everybody is doing the same thing and all my friends are posting this, yeah, I'm going to want to post this too. I don't blame them. Nobody told them that this is like not how it is or how it was. And then even if we do, we sound like the old guy in the room.
Which happens.
It's just a fact.
Yeah,
it's just true. How it is. But you got to appreciate the music and you got to appreciate being able to still do what we're doing at this age, for one. Of course. Because a lot of people just give up.
Yeah.
We haven't given up. So
That's
I
why we're
hope
still here.
I hope this inspires y'all to not give up. That's my ultimate goal. You know, is just keep going.
And actually, we can wrap it up on that note too. We've been on for like an hour, so we're
oh shit, for
you
real?
know, about. So you know,
we had said in the beginning, let's do 35 minutes.
So, but I'm glad we're running an hour, you know, because we're diving a little deeper. We're diving deeper, you know, which is always lit, you know. But like, you know, let's leave it on that, you know, like on that high note, you know. But before we you know hop over to your DJ set, you know, what are some links that you can tell us where we can find your music? What's stuff you've been up to? What do you want the world to know?
Follow me on Instagram. No, but seriously, I'm about to release a lot of music and I'm working with a label called G7. Okay. So I'm gonna be doing a lot with them. And then aside from that, I'm deciding whether or not if I want to start a label maybe just for the sake of this podcast, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yep.
So that we can start putting content out there for you guys as well if you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
So beyond G7, beyond me just putting stuff together, take a look at my SoundCloud because I'm going to preview a lot of stuff there before I actually release it. So if you really want to tune in, take a look at the SoundCloud because I haven't touched that in years. So now it's going to be flooded.
Nice. Awesome. I'm super excited. Well, I'm super glad to have had you on. Rafa, do you want to say anything?
I want to say thank you. Like, you've been in my life, bro, for years. I was really excited, like we talked yesterday, to have you on the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. You've inspired a lot of people out there, and this video is also going to inspire a lot of people out there, especially the younger crowd.
One final thing. Speaking on inspiration, if you guys don't know who this is, Samasoni, Big Mac, rest in peace.
Rest in
Love
peace,
you, man. He inspired me to do what I do with EDM, to bring hip hop into EDM, because there was a long time that I didn't think that was possible. And it was killing me because I wanted to bring those worlds together, and he did it, and he made it available for me to continue doing to this day. So follow your inspirations.
Yes.
Shout out City Tucker. We were talking about you too.
Yep.
Shout out you,
Shout out
bro.
City.
Shout out City Tucker, bro. But let's wrap it up here and
Yes.
keep it locked here. And you know,
Thank you,
we're
guys.
gonna bring you two. We're gonna bring you two on this. We're gonna reach out to you. I follow you on TikTok. We're gonna reach out to you. But we'll catch you guys
Yep.
on the flip side, and we'll see you when Brad's behind the deck. So we'll catch up
Guys,
in a second.
He's about to kill it. You guys better be ready. And guys, share and thank you.